Item hash SCP-2214. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The entrance to SCP-2214 is to remain locked at all times. Iron bars are fitted across all windows of SCP-2214 to prevent the entry of foreign objects. Foundation agents are to guard the apartments immediately adjacent, as well as above and below SCP-2214, under the guise of residents of the building. Interaction with SCP-2214 to 1 through -1288 is forbidden under any circumstances. Any personnel seeking to enter SCP-2214 for purposes of research or documentation must first receive express, written permission from an on-site supervisor of Level 3 or higher security clearance. Foundation personnel may only incorporate outside objects into SCP-2214 with the permission of a supervisor of Level 4 or higher security clearance. Description: SCP-2214 is a 40M2 apartment located in Redacted, Okrug, Moscow. The layout of SCP-2214 is consistent with late Soviet-era standards for single-resident apartments, and differs in no significant way from that of other units in the building. SCP-2214 contains 1,288 objects, SCP-2214 to 1 through SCP-2214, 1288, mostly typical belongings for a late Soviet-era apartment. The primary exception is SCP-2214, 1280, the remains of Konstantin Brinov, former resident of SCP-2214. Any object that remains in SCP-2214 for 72 hours or more will be incorporated into SCP-2214. Once incorporated, it becomes physically impossible to remove an object from SCP-22141. SCP-2214 to 1 through SCP-2214, 1288. Change orientation and relative position to one another in response to changes in macroeconomic conditions of the former Soviet Union. 2. Each object is representative of a single macroeconomic factor, although the sheer number of SCP objects has made interpreting the movements of SCP-2214 to 1 through -1284 effectively impossible. However, Foundation researchers have made some progress in connecting the movements of objects with macroeconomic conditions. See Addendum 2214 W78 T91 for a partial list. Manually changing the position of SCP-2214 to 1 through -1288 affects changes in the economy of the former Soviet Union. The typical delay between the movement of an object and the economic changes that it affects is 3 days. Discovery Log. The anomalous nature of SCP-2214 was discovered on October 17, 1990 when the superintendent of the building housing SCP-2214 entered SCP-2214 to investigate complaints about an odor emanating from the apartment. Previously, tenants had complained about persistent noises from the apartment of Mr. Brinov, a deputy assistant subdirector at the Soviet State Planning Committee Gosplan. Upon entering SCP-2214, Mr. found plates flying everywhere and ghosts moving furniture. In addition, Mr. located the remains of Mr. Brinov, who appeared to have been killed when a dresser 3 fell on top of him, crushing him. It was estimated that Mr. Brinov had been deceased roughly a week by the time of discovery. Calls from Mr. to the Moscow police were intercepted by agents of the Group E, who arrived on the scene and successfully secured the area. Mr. was detained and dosed with a Class R amnestic. In 1992, with the integration of several elements of the former Group E, The Foundation gained custody of SCP-2214.